January 7th, 2015, a date that left an indelible mark on modern history. On that morning in Paris, two brothers, armed with Kalashnikov rifles, stormed the office of Charlie Hebdo, a satirical magazine known for its bold caricatures. Within minutes, 12 people lay dead, including 4 of the magazine's most prominent cartoonists. The attackers targeted them by name. The crime was committed in retaliation for the magazine's depictions of the Prophet Muhammad. Yet the massacre wasn't just an attack on individuals, it was a direct assault on the very principle of free expression. In the hours that followed, a rallying cry emerged: "Je suis Charlie," I am Charlie. The slogan spread across the globe, symbolizing solidarity with the victims and defiance in the face of terror. Millions marched in cities worldwide, and world leaders locked arms in a show of unity. In what seemed like a rare moment of consensus, people across the political spectrum stood up for the right to speak, to mock, and to offend. But beneath the surface, not everyone was on board. Criticism of Charlie Hebdo soon followed. Some accused the magazine of punching down on marginalised communities, questioning whether its provocative satire was truly necessary or responsible. This tension underscores a critical question. What's the role of satire in free society? To answer that, we need to take a broader look at the history of political cartooning. Jack Reilly's Quillette article, "The Death of Political Cartooning and Why It Matters," offers a sweeping account of how cartoons have long served as powerful tools of dissent. From the early days of the printing press to the modern era, cartoonists have wielded humour and mockery to challenge authority, expose corruption, and provoke debate. The tradition dates back to the 16th century, when Martin Luther, famous for launching the Protestant Reformation, used woodcut sketches to lampoon the Catholic Church. Knowing that many of his audience were barely literate, Luther recruited artists to complement his message with vivid images. One of the most notorious, Lucas Cranach's The Birth and the Origin of the Pope, depicted the devil defecating Pope Leo X. The image was shocking, even by today's standards, but it was also effective, helping to galvanise anti-clerical sentiment across Europe. Fast forward to the late 18th and early 19th centuries, and political cartoons were playing a major role in revolutionary France. Caricatures of King Louis XIV and Marie Antoinette as decadent and sexually corrupt figures helped erode public sympathy for the monarchy. After the revolution, Napoleon himself became a frequent target, particularly of British cartoonist James Gillray. Napoleon once lamented that Gillray did more than all the armies of Europe to bring me down. The power of satire, it seemed, could transcend even the might of empires. In the US, political cartooning rose to prominence during the Civil War. Thomas Nast, a young German immigrant, used his art to bolster the Union cause. His work was so influential that Abe Lincoln referred to Nast as our best recruiting agent. After the war, Nast turned his pen against the corrupt political machine of Tammany Hall, targeting its leader, Boss Tweed. Legend has it that Tweed, furious at being mocked, once exclaimed, "Stop them damn pictures! My constituents can't read, but they can't help but sing them damn pictures." In the end, Nast's relentless satire helped bring down Tweed, demonstrating the power of visual criticism to drive real political change. But as Reilly notes, political cartooning has always been a risky business. Throughout history, cartoonists have faced imprisonment, exile, and even death for daring to challenge political figures. And while the Charlie Hebdo massacre stands out for its sheer brutality, it's far from the only instance of cartoonists being targeted by fanatics. In the 20th century, Nazi Germany, Soviet Russia, and other totalitarian regimes systematically suppressed political satire. David Lowe, a British cartoonist known for his biting depictions of Hitler, was placed on a Nazi blacklist. If Germany had invaded Britain, Lowe would have been the first to be arrested. In the US, the rise of McCarthyism in the 1950s provided another flashpoint for political cartooning. Washington Post cartoonist Herbert Bloch, known as Herblock, famously coined the term McCarthyism in one of his drawings. His work, which criticised the Red Scare and later skewered Richard Nixon during the Watergate scandal, earned him widespread acclaim and more than a few enemies. Yet, despite its rich history, political cartooning is in decline. Reilly attributes this to several factors: the collapse of print media, the rise of social media outrage, and the spread of political correctness. In the past, cartoonists could rely on newspapers as their primary platform. But as print readership has dwindled, so too has the influence of editorial cartoons. Today, it's estimated that fewer than 30 full-time editorial cartoonists remain in the US, down from thousands a century ago. And social media has only made things worse. While platforms like Twitter, now X, and Instagram allow cartoons to reach a global audience, they also expose cartoonists to instant backlash. Controversial work that might once have sparked thoughtful debate now triggers online outrage, leading to calls for censorship or worse, personal attacks. Reilly cites several recent examples, including the case of the Australian cartoonist Mark Knight, who was accused of racism for his depiction of Serena Williams at the 2018 US Open. Despite being cleared by the Australian Press Council, Knight faced a torrent of abuse, highlighting how perilous the landscape has become for modern satirists. Even major publications have retreated from political cartooning. In 2019, the New York Times discontinued editorial cartoons in its international edition after facing backlash over a cartoon critical of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The decision drew criticism from cartoonists and free speech advocates alike, who saw it as a form of preemptive self-censorship. And then there's the chilling effect of outright violence. The beheading of French teacher Samuel Paty in 2020 was a grim reminder that the threat to free expression is not just theoretical. Paty had shown Charlie Hebdo cartoons to his class during a lesson on freedom of speech, warning students in advance and offering them the chance to opt out. Despite his precautions, he became a target of extremist violence, a stark indication that the right to ridicule remains under siege. So where does this leave us? Reilly warns that if we allow political cartooning to die, whether through censorship, outrage culture, or simple neglect, we risk losing one of the most potent forms of social critique. Satire, at its best, doesn't just provoke laughter, it provokes thought. It holds a mirror to society, exposing its flaws in ways that text alone cannot. This is why the legacy of Charlie Hebdo matters. The magazine's cartoonists understood that freedom of expression isn't just a legal right, it's a cultural one. And like any cultural right, it must be exercised to survive. As Twain put it, against the assault of laughter, nothing can stand. In a world where authoritarianism is on the rise and outrage can silence dissent in seconds, that insight feels more urgent than ever. The anniversary of the Charlie Hebdo attack is a reminder of what's at stake. Defending free speech means more than tolerating uncomfortable ideas. It means standing up for those who dare to express them. Whether we like the content of their work or not, cartoonists play a vital role in keeping power in check. Their art, often simple in form, carries a profound message. No idea, no leader, and no institution should be beyond scrutiny. As we reflect on the events of January the 7th, 2015, we should ask ourselves, are we still willing to be Charlie? Or have we grown too afraid to laugh? The answer may well determine the future of free expression and ultimately the health of our democracies. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy this type of content about free thought and expression, you are going to love Quillette. Head to quillette.com to read more fantastic essays. Thanks for watching.